So let's get to the next thing. Elias Pettersson. We got to talk about Pettersson last night. 3 points last night, puts up 32 points now in 26 games after that 3-point performance. Just been excellent, man. I tell you, it's you watch this guy and it felt like it yesterday. We'll get to the quote here from Boudreau in just a second, so you can tee that up, Alex. But what Pettersson was doing last night with like the back check, just I felt like he was dragging that line into it last night. And listen, Mikheyev gets 2 goals last night. I don't think he's being talked about as having like the best game of that line, even putting up 2 goals. Like, it was, to me, just watching Pettersson care that much about that game. You felt like this guy was a leader. And actually, I asked Bruce Boudreau about Pettersson last night and the leadership. Let's hear from Boudreau, and then I'll let you come out of this. So this is Bruce Boudreau talking about Elias Pettersson and the leadership that he does from his play on the ice.
You talk about leaders of this team. Just the way that Pettersson skates on the back check, does things in overtime, creates turnovers. How much of a leader does he become just from his play?
Well, that's how you become a leader. Leadership isn't necessarily talking. It's doing stuff on the ice, and whether it's blocking a shot at the big time, I mean, jumping in to help a guy, or just playing as hard as Petey's been playing. That's leadership.
That is leadership. And again, you keep thinking about, what does it mean when you truly become a leader of a team? And you talk to teammates of Sidney Crosby's, for example. I'm not saying Elias Pettersson, Sidney Crosby. Connor McDavid, same sort of deal. You talk to the players in those teams, and the mark of, I think, and there's many, I'm not trying to say there's only one right answer. The mark of when a guy really becomes a leader is when his teammates, 1, want to play for him, and 2, really don't want to let him down. Like, there's a lot of talk about, all these guys that have come out of nowhere and just been really good with Sidney Crosby, like Jake Gensel, for example, right? Like, Jake Gensel is going to try his very hardest when he's playing with Sidney Crosby. If you're getting that opportunity, first of all, but second of all, a big part of it is just how Crosby carries himself. Players don't want to let him down. Like, players don't want to not perform, right? And again, like, it's for different reasons with different guys, but I think you're seeing that more and more with Elias Pettersson. Like, you're starting to see that, I think.
Yeah,
and again, this progression of becoming a leader, I think that's one thing you're starting to see with Pettersson.
I think when you see your star putting in that much effort, you have to, because you're thinking like, I do think that Brock Boeser, like, he's clearly moving his feet at a higher pace over the last couple of games. He's moving his feet more. He's getting into good spots. And I think that specifically what you brought up there, with the Crosby example, that's a little bit of what Boeser's doing right now. It's like, hey, I've been bounced around the third line. I haven't been on the power play. Like, I'm with Pettersson now. I've got to play well. I've got to focus on every shift. I've got to be as engaged as he is. And I think that's the thing that I talk about when I say Pettersson dragging his line into the fight, is like, you said it, like, it's basically like when you're a star of the team, I think that other players look at you and they say, I should at least be working harder than him. Like, right. Like, I don't have all the God-given talent that Elias Pettersson has. I better work hard. And when he's working that hard, it raises everyone else's level. And like, that line's working, man. Like, Mikheyev, it's weird. He's not like, there's nothing like that you see about Mikheyev in the offensive zone, and you're like, damn, that's super impressive. Like, it's like his shot's not that great. It doesn't have a good finish on it. He doesn't have like an ability to even like deke very well, but he's just such like a good north-south skater that also kind of understands the areas of the ice. I think that's what we're seeing from him. And listen, the finishing still isn't incredible. Like, I don't think he would probably be even happy. Like, how many chances does he get a game from just an incredible pass from Pettersson? Like, he gets one a game, right? He doesn't score every game, but he at least gets one of those quality grade A chances from a great Elias Pettersson pass at some point to him. So, I mean, like, he does fit well. And I do think that the best part about Mikheyev's game to me is like how defensively sound he is. Like, through and through in the defensive zone, you never see Mikheyev, you don't watch him and think, oh, look, that was a bad play, like he lost his man. He doesn't do that. Like, he is extremely just locked in his own zone, and he's a player that you don't worry about ever defensively. Like, it just feels like he's solid. He's just solid defensively. And the fact that he can work well with a great passer like Pettersson, like, that's why Mikheyev's the guy who's going to stick with Pettersson when you start to see the lines get shuffled. Like, Kuzmenko's the first to go because Mikheyev does things at both ends of the ice that make sense with Pettersson. Pettersson's defensive intelligence works well with Mikheyev's ability to just not ever be out of place defensively. Like, he fits really well defensively with that line. And I do think that having Boeser there, yeah, this is, pressure is pushed on the Brock Boeser here, and I think he's looked good so far, like since playing with Pettersson.
Absolutely. And again, you're looking at a guy, and again, I just talked about Kuzmenko in the last segment about how Kuzmenko's numbers suggested that he was a guy who could probably really only succeed if he was playing with Pettersson. Small sample size, like I said, succeeded with Sheldon Dries and Connor Garland last night. Brock Boeser didn't when he was in that role, right? And Brock Boeser, I think it's safe to say, like, I know Brock gets, especially in years past, he's getting a lot of credit as, he's starting to drive plays, starting to do good things defensively, and that's fine. But I don't think Brock's shown that this year. Like, I think Brock's pretty clearly a guy who is a really good shooter, but needs to play with guys who can get him the puck with time and space in order to be that really good shooter. And I think the only guy on this team that he's going to find that success with is Elias Pettersson, and maybe Bo Horvat. But again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I think right now that's kind of what we're seeing with Elias Pettersson. I know, again, small sample size, but Brock's got to play with Pettersson right now.
Yep, I think so too. And I think, there's times where Bruce has talked about this as well, of just like he knows that players that like each other, he likes to put them together because he thinks they have good chemistry. And like, this is the thing with these two players is like, you are going to get more space for Brock Boeser when he's on a line with Elias Pettersson. He talked about it last night when we asked him in the morning skate. And like, yeah, that's exactly it. Like when Boeser does have a lot of space and is like the second best shooter on the line that a team's watching out for, and then you also add in like the streaking quick scoring chances that Mikheyev creates, like this is the situation for Brock Boeser where he's going to have the most space possible to get his shot off, I think, at 5-on-5. Like no other line combination you could put together that would probably give him more space to get shots off. I think this situation is going to be the one where you're going to see big opportunities if a play is made from, Mikheyev going down, then getting it off to Pettersson making a move and finding Boeser. That's going to be the best opportunity for him to score at 5-on-5. So he's got to step up here, right? Like he hasn't had a good start to the season. He's putting up a lot of points, a lot of secondary assists. Hasn't really scored a lot of these typical Brock Boeser goals that we've seen, but he has shown just like a little taste of it and a little taste of some good things over the start of the season, but he's been a third line player all year. So now this is the time where, he, should kind of look at this as pressure. Like it should be known that like, hey, you got to step up here in this situation, because I don't know how many more opportunities you're going to get to just be put into a top 6 role if you continue to play like this. So this is the time where, there should be some pressure on Brock Boeser. And obviously there's some heat from a lot of people like online that, don't like what Boeser's done so far this season. And clearly the numbers kind of back that up defensively on him being one of the worst now in the league at being goals against per 60. Like this isn't just like a thing that a lot of people are just like picking a player and deciding to hate on them. Like, yes, he's been on the ice more than any other player in the NHL for getting scored at 5-on-5. This isn't an opinion. This is the numbers saying that. So he's in a spot right now where he really needs to just grab onto it and stay there and produce. That's the biggest thing, is you're in this spot to produce. So Brock needs to step up right now. Though he's still not on the first power play unit, you're at 5-on-5 with probably the best creator of offense. We just talked about Pettersson's 32 points in 26 games. How much of that is at 5-on-5, right? Like that's the thing that's so impressive about Pettersson. You need to be able to contribute to that and make sure that this line is running, because it does have a capability to be a very high scoring line. And I think matching up against these teams like San Jose and Montreal and these teams that are in the bottom of the league, like these are the ones where you need to pick up points, right? Like you need to be putting up 5-on-5 points in this situation, and Brock Boeser's got to step up right now and do that.
No disagreement there. I think you're bang on, especially about the stuff about playing with Pettersson. Like you have to not only seize that opportunity, but hold it. And again, like for all the talk of, well, the Canucks didn't need this player, the Canucks didn't need this player because it's keeping guys out of the top 6. Hey, at least you've got a guy knowing that there's someone on his heels to take his spot in the top 6. Like you talk about country club, this is how you get rid of that country club mentality, right? And again, you talk about a guy like Bo Horvat, right? Where you see him back checking, and Elias Pettersson as well. You see him back checking, you're like, oh, okay, well, there goes your country club.
Yeah. Exactly. And a good one from L Jim in the chat as well. PD even skates hard back to the bench. JT should take notice. Yeah, PD. Well, no, but seriously, watch Pettersson skate. I don't know.
No,
I think you should be able to see this on the broadcast, but we can 100% see it from the press box because we're right above the bench. You can see Pettersson skate to the bench hard.
He doesn't take a shift off.
No, and he makes an effort to get to the bench quick. It's different than a lot of other players on this team for sure.
A lot of players.
I know you want to get to the player that Pettersson stripped in overtime last night.
Oh yeah, I tweeted. It was a great
Yeah.
tweet. One of my best for sure. Mike
That's
Matheson,
why you got 8,000 followers.
Mike Matheson, the guy who body slammed Pettersson. What was his third game in the league? It was really early. Promising start from Pettersson, and then he gets body slammed to the ice by Matheson. Matheson got a 2-game suspension, I want to say. And Pettersson was concussed on the play. It was a vicious, like, you know, I remember back then watching that. I don't even know who it was. It was some guys in Ontario. I think it was the TSN guys. Honestly, I don't know. Just talking
Probably
about
Alex.
No, not Alex. They were talking about like, how is this a penalty? What is this league becoming? Where he got, the can opener lifted up onto the boards and slammed to the ice. And you know what? That was when I was really, really into reading Botch. And I remember Botch didn't hold anything back about that. Like, Botch was so vocal about how that was a garbage play. It was. It absolutely was. So it was nice to see. 4 years in the making.
Yep.
Elias Pettersson makes Matheson look like a dummy. Matheson toe-picked, by the way. Like, people were like, he tripped him. No, Matheson lost his footing. Was so embarrassed. Told Nick Suzuki to go cover Pettersson. Nick Suzuki, not much of an athlete himself. The moment's too big for him. That's a joke, folks. Elias Pettersson goes in, and that goal Pettersson scored, it was a nice one. Like, tucked it home.
Put your shoulder down, go to the
nice
net.
Goal.